Well, good afternoon guys, and welcome to the video. So today I've decided, bugs. Today I've decided that I'm going to be pulling the motor out of the truck. I was trying to line everything up to work out so I get to a on-base hobby shop that they offer at this area. However, the coronavirus threw a nice big wrench in that plan and closed it down for an unknown period of time. All the people that work there are elderly gentlemen, and I don't want them to die, so I don't think they do either. So they closed it. Tried to line up a couple other things around people out in town in their driveways. No one's really having it, which is understandable. They don't know me, I don't know them. So I said screw it, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in this little parking lot right over here where I live at. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little tour real quick of what's going on, and we're going to get to work. As you can see, we have the Shelby, which is currently the daily. So I went ahead and last night I drained the coolant out of this thing. Let me get this bad boy open. So we took off before it got dark on me, took off the engine cover, took off the intake, air box, disconnected the battery, and disconnected the lower radiator hose right there. As you can see, it's still dripping a little bit. Honestly, neither here nor there. I don't really care about it this much. It's going to leak a little bit more. I had a bucket under there all night to catch anything. It is what it is. I'm not super worried about it. So the goal for today is I got to get the fan off right there. Upper radiator hose is coming off. This fan shroud is coming off. I want to get the intake completely off because that clears up a lot of space and lets me get to these bolt holes right there. There's one right there, and there's one there, one there. And same on the back side. So I'm using this corner one and the one on the opposite head over there. And that's going to be where we get the engine hoist hooked up to. I'm buying an engine hoist from Harbor Freight. They have one that's at full extension. It can lift, I believe it's a little over 500 pounds. These motors weigh 500 pounds altogether, so it'll be toward its max weight, but it should be fine. I'm not taking off the hood until I need to, so that'll be one of the last things to come off, just because I'm really not trying to deal with any issues that may arise from pulling stuff. What else? Looking around the engine bay, I got to undo the exhaust down there. This bracket that holds the alternator also holds the power steering pump, as you can see right there. So I'm undoing this bracket, and that'll pull off this whole assembly, which will free up that. Coil packs got to come off, plug wires, plugs, bunch of other stuff. So I know I don't need to necessarily do all of this to strip the motor, or to pull the motor. However, I want to strip it because it all needs to go on the new motor before it goes back in the truck. Or after, it doesn't really matter what the case may be. But the more stuff I can get off of this motor and set aside, the easier it's going to be to get it out of the engine bay and not worry about it. So I was going to do a time lapse, however, filming in this area is a real pain in the butt, so I'm just going to do updates as I go along. So I think the first step is going to be getting the upper radiator hose off and this fan shroud off, and that'll let me get to the fan, hopefully. I don't want to remove the belt until after I take the fan off, because that's kind of what's holding it from free spinning on the water pump. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop to it, and we'll continue onwards. This is definitely going to be very interesting. It's either going to be a fail or not so fail, but hopefully it doesn't get too expensive on me. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Alright, so we went ahead and got off the radiator hose right there that plugs into the inlet. Set it off to the side. Put my bucket back down there because it started dripping again from the water pump. And then I just got this fan loosened. So the fan was actually spinning the motor over just a little bit until the motor crank stopped spinning, which is awesome. Must have hit a compression stroke. And then I used a pair of channel locks right there to hold the belt steady against the alternator. This belt's getting replaced, so I don't really care if it gets beat up. And now our fan is coming right off the water pump. And this is going to be good to go on the new pump and on the new motor. So that'll get installed a little later. Sweet, fan's done. Go ahead and put this inside. I'm actually kicking around the idea of doing a electric fan install. However, looking at how this is set up, I'm undecided at the moment. This is actually a pretty good shield to make sure that only air gets sucked through, the entire radiator. The one I have is a little smaller, so it may not be as effective at sucking air. Unsure just yet if I'm going to proceed with that or not, but it is in the back of my head. So now that that's done, probably going to pop off the belts. I want to check out the balancer as well. It looked like it might be getting out of balance, and some other stuff. Doesn't matter, there's a new one on the new motor, but just stuff I'm looking into. I'll keep you guys updated. So I'm taking this shot mostly for documentation, but I want to make sure I know that the one heater core hose right here on the inside goes to the inside connector right there, and this T goes to that side. Alright, so next up on the agenda, I'm removing this whole bracket right here. As you can see, it's loose now. So there's 5 bolts technically that hold this on. 3 are right here. You do not need to remove the power steering pulley. There's a bolt at the very bottom, right there, that holds the front of the bracket on, and then where my socket's connected, see in there's one more bolt that holds a bracket, it looks like, for the power steering pump. So once that comes off, we can go ahead and pop this bad boy off and set him off to the side, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. These are the bolts that are coming out of there, so they're all uniformly the same size, pretty even. Don't need to really keep track of where each particular hole that goes to. Yeah, so far so good, guys. I'm loving how much room is in here. I could literally step in there right now, but we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. All right, so that small one is the last one that came out of there. Now this bracket's free right here, so it looks like I just need to detach. What do we need to detach? I need to start tracing up a little bit and start following this harness to see what I need to detach. Pull off the throttle. I already know where that goes because I've done this a million times working on trying to trace my knock sensor issue. This cable goes right into here, so I think I want to detach that and just let it hang loose, get a little more slack in there. Yeah, so far so good. All right, so we got a little sensor that runs behind here. This is also going to that bracket. So that plugs into that guy right there. And then other than that, I'm just trying to weasel this out of the way. But as you can see behind there and everything, looks like my front main was also leaking. I can't tell if that's power steering fluid down there, if that's the main. But, well, it's probably better we're doing this anyway. Looks like we also got a ground right there, that wire that runs underneath the head, and the ground's the block down there. It's a 13 millimeter. So we're also getting that out. Alright, so that bolt held on this ground right here and this other ground, so it was a twofer. Just noted that I'm putting the bolt back into the motor, and I'll go ahead and pop it out when the time comes when I pull it. But you can see there's a lot of goop and buildup down there. My front main, even though my front main necessarily, but this front gasket, the timing cover gasket, was definitely leaking some oil. So it looks like I still had that one. That was probably the last big oil leak I had to take care of. But just something to take note of. Alright, so I figure it's time for an update. As you can see, there have been some changes. Got the intake manifold off. Wire harness is, for the most part, pretty much free. As we start lifting it, we're just going to have to push it around. I know there's a ground or two that goes behind the motor. I'm not planning on getting to that until after I get the motor lifted a little bit. It'll make life a lot easier trying to get back there. My top rear transmission bolt is located right there. It's a bracket and then the bolt on top of it, so I can go ahead and grab that and get it out of the way. So oil pressure sending unit. I believe that's a coolant temperature sensor, if I'm not mistaken. It could also be a cam sensor. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, guys, so far so good. She's coming apart under the ground or something right there. Probably a ground that'll need to come off. Definitely making some progress. I gotta undo the exhaust bolts on either side. The manifolds are coming out with the motor. I'll be going ahead and removing those once it's out and put them on the new motor with new gaskets and hardware. Other than that, got plug wires hanging out still. I'm gonna leave those on. I'll pull those off again once the motor's out, because there's no point in pulling them off right now. Dipstick staying in for now. You probably unhook that so it doesn't get caught in anything. Like so. And yeah, that's about it. She's definitely coming together. I've already stepped in here once. We definitely got some space. Oh, I gotta remove the AC compressor. I totally forgot about that. So I'm gonna undo the bracket and hopefully just let that sit to the side. I don't believe I'm gonna need to do anything with that. I should just be able to sit there, and we'll pop the new one on, or rather we'll pop it on the motor once it's in. Shouldn't need to drain that. I mean, that's hanging out of the way. So yeah, guys, definitely making some progress. She's coming along kind of slowly, but she's getting there. So far, so good. Alrighty, so next update, just detached the AC unit. So all the videos I've seen, there's always 3 bolts, or 4 rather. And then people always take out this third one. This one doesn't need to come out. It might hold on a bracket that needs to come out later, but for right now, I mean, the AC compressor is loose, and it's 4 bolts. And yeah, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I used a They're all 15mm. I used a swivel socket like this, or a swivel wrench rather, and it made life a million times easier getting those out. So yeah, so now that's out, I mean, pretty much done on the top side in all honesty. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna get the starter out next and see how that goes. So all in all, it's coming along. All right, progress update. Nothing's changed up top right now. I think I'm about to go and grab the see if I can get those transmission bell housing bolts off the top side. I wait for my buddy to get here so we can rotate the motor and I can get the bolts out of the torque converter. Let's see what else. I undid the starter, so that's dangling right now. It's not going anywhere. And then I undid the exhaust manifold bolts, so the exhaust manifolds are now free from the rest of the exhaust system. So it's coming along. We're picking up at Cherry Picker tomorrow to grab this stuff out. Harbor Freight one, as I was saying earlier in the video. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get these couple of bolts off in the back. I'm going to go ahead and step inside this bay real quick and see if my swivel ratchets help me out. If I can, awesome. If I'm not able to, then I'm probably going to need to drop the transmission down a little bit in order to get enough clearance. But I really think I can reach back there and get it. There's actually quite a bit of space. Should be plenty of space back there to get a wrench in. So all I got to do is get the top three, and the other ones are all accessible from the bottom. So that's the game plan. I'll go ahead and see what happens. So for anyone that's never done a transmission before or any work on this particular motor, one of the reasons these freaking trans bolts suck so bad is that they have a bracket and a bolt in the top dead center. Now I can access it by taking off the intake manifold, which is what I'm doing here, and get a wrench on it. But think about it, if you're trying to leave everything up, you got to drop this motor down enough to be able to get clearance to get to that guy. So in all honesty, it might be easier in the future just to pop off the intake manifold and get to this thing. But I guess it's got to come down anyway, so you might as well. Grief. I got a heat wrench on this thing because it's not loose enough yet. But, yeah guys, this is the first one. So this is the bracket right here. It holds on the, all it does is hold on the vent tubes for the transmission and transfer case. So, I'm going to keep working on that. As you can see, standing in the engine bay, plenty of space. Alright, so while I was still looking around for more transmission bolts, I found another ground that I didn't know was there. So this guy goes right in the back, and there's a big, fat, very short 15mm that hangs out. He hangs out right there. So again, that bolt's going back in the block, and we'll pop that guy out when we get this thing out and put it on the new block. Alright, a little clarification. Looks like it actually holds on two grounds. So this one and the other one I just held right here. They both go on that one bolt. That one goes right up to the back of the firewall right there. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and leave it off here for the day. Pretty much got almost everything down. I got some more stuff to work on. Pardon the hat, it's hot out and I need something to keep sweat out of my eyes. So I'm wearing it. It's whatever. I don't usually wear hats, but it is what it is. So honestly, so far progress has been pretty good. This is going to be episode 1, part 1. I don't know yet. So yeah, she's getting there. On the bright side about doing it here versus at an actual shop right now is I don't need to pay for a lift or pay for time. So I can kind of take my time and make sure everything's put together and done right. That's the plan anyway. Those words could come back to bite me if I don't do it right and instantly blow the new motor, but let's hope that doesn't happen. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one, and have a good day.